Court Hall if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have two items on a public hearing tonight. The first is a conditional use permit request by Kessler Contracting, agent for Michael Larkin on Main Street, Inc. for a private school zoning ordinance section 42-30514 at 100 West Main Street, tax parcel 527A66 in the B2 Central Business District. Is there anyone here to address this request? Name, rank, and serial number, Coach.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody. My name is Michael Larkin, and I am the president and the founder of Ignite, Life Pacific College. And first of all, I just want to say to you that it's a tremendous honor to be coming before you tonight with our request, our proposal. We moved here 5 years ago. We founded the college in California, and we are part of the same denomination where the school Life East that once occupied up at Cross Point, I think you're all familiar with that, on the other side of 81. And so after 3 years in California, our school was growing, and they asked us if we'd be willing to relocate to Virginia and back onto the campus where we had the college once before. And so we are not Life East reborn. We are a new school, new vision. And one of our main emphasis and focuses for our students is community service and community development. It was an honor to have you, Mr. Mayor, at our graduation in May, present a proclamation to our school. And I don't know how many of you are aware, but in the 5 years we've been here, our students have served in the New River Valley 70,750 hours in 5 years. So our students on average are serving 7 to 10 hours a week in this community. And so again, it's something that we've kept under the radar. We don't brag about it, but we feel it's important to mention it to you tonight. This partnership with the town, expanding our school, we're growing, our enrollment's growing. We want to utilize not only the campus on the hill for housing and recreation and living, but we want to expand into town, bring our administration, bring our classrooms, bring our library. We want to get foot traffic downtown. We want to partner with the businesses downtown. We want to be part of what's going on here. That's pretty exciting. So we're here. We can answer any questions that anybody would have. We also have representation from Kessler with us in fire safety. Again, interested to answer any questions that anybody would have. Thank you.
Questions, comments? I think we all kind of know what he wants to do. Brad?
No, it's not my place to say, but I mean, since he gave me the floor, I'm delighted we're delighted you're here tonight. I speak for myself, but I know all of us, your street cred in downtown Christiansburg is fantastic. Everyone knows, you may not advertise what you're doing, but a lot of people know what you're doing. We appreciate it. This is a name with a face, and I'm delighted you're here, and I think other council members are too. Thank you for everything you're doing.
And I'd like to second that too. It's just a treat to have you come on down, and a treat to have your students around. And I've never had anybody say anything bad about your students. Everything I hear is what a tremendous job they do and how they help different projects out. And that's a great tribute to you yourself.
Thank you.
Council, on the other part, with these guys, the church is a great building, historical building, but in the plans and in the future plans, the safety that's being added to the building is just top notch. These guys are doing it in phases, and it's coming out and it's looking well. And the future plans for the building inside to bring the safety up, to get the asbestos out of it, and the things that's going on, it's going to be a great facility.
Good. Mr. Jay Dickerson,
Yes, sir.
for your records. Anyone else here to address this item of the public hearing? Hearing none, I will close this public hearing. Second public hearing is a proposed amendment to the sewer use ordinance. Mayor, I think that is specifically changes to the local limits on the,
As part of the sewer use ordinance.
okay.
Back when we recodified the code, we incorporated these changes in with it, and it was advertised in public hearing as we felt was needed. DEQ feels that we need to publicize it and specifically say we want to change local use ordinance, the limits. And what we did is remove the 10 from the local limits, limit on 10, and boron. We increased the limits for iron from 20 milligrams per liter to 100 milligrams per liter, and increased the local limits for chloride from 250 milligrams per liter to 500 milligrams per liter. These are, and increased local limits of phenol from 0.02 milligrams per liter to 1.0 milligrams per liter. These are all still below the requirements for DEQ, but in fact they're much more stringent than DEQ. There's no limit for tin and boron, but we had a limit, and we haven't had any issues at the sewer plant. So after a study, we decided to remove them. Like I said, it was in the last ordinance when we recodified, but DEQ wanted us to advertise it again and make sure that people realize we're changing the local limits specifically, not just changing the ordinance in general. So that's why we're having a public hearing, and we'll keep it advertised for 30 days and can vote on it at the second meeting in July.
Have you had any comment at all on the proposed new sewer ordinance, Mr. Helms? No. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else here to address this matter? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Call the meeting of Christiansburg Town Council to order. There is a quorum present. The first item, the second item on our agenda is the consent agenda, which consists of your council meeting minutes from June 14th, 2016, and the monthly bills.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to make if I may, a motion if we could actually bifurcate those two items. Only reason being, I was absent on June 14th, therefore I'll have to abstain
Okay.
on the minutes. But I believe that we'd be moving to pass the monthly bills, if we may do that.
So we will vote on these individually. So what
Please,
you want to do?
please, yes, sir.
I don't know what that word you used was.
Oh,
I didn't catch it all. Bifurcate?
If we can split those two up.
I didn't bring my dictionary with me tonight, guys. Okay.
That's actually an engineering term too.
Is it an engineering term? Then I will accept a motion to approve the council minutes of June 14th. We'll accept the motion.
And you want a second?
No, I want a first and a second.
I'll give you a first.
Second.
First and a second. Any discussion?
Only, again, I apologize for not being able to be here. I was at meetings in Richmond and Virginia Beach, but thank you for doing this.
All right. Madam Clerk, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilman Hall?
Abstain.
Councilman Hubbard?
All right.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
It's 5-0-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion on the monthly bills.
I move that we approve the monthly bills.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilman Hall?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
All right.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
It's 6-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Under recognitions, I have a couple of things that came up to me the last minute, so I'm going to go ahead and we will make a couple of recognitions. First of all, I want to recognize Steve Biggs, who is our incoming town manager, effective July 1. Steve, nice to have you. The second thing is, I don't know whether you saw the article on the sports page today about the young lady from Christiansburg and a Roanoke College graduate that is qualified for the Olympic time trials. She is the daughter of Sharon Graves, who works here for the town, and she's kept us abreast of things for quite a while, and she's quite a talented athlete. I think she's been here before on some other things that we've done, but we'll wish her all the good luck in the world on that. And the other recognition that I want to do is, and I'm not going to pass it over because I've already done this past Saturday, but council passed a resolution the last meeting. I did not read the resolution because I wanted to wait until Saturday when we had his retirement reception. So if I might, I'd like to, as a matter of public record, I would like to read the resolution recognizing the contributions of Barry D. Helms to the town and to the community. Whereas Barry D. Helms has served the town of Christiansburg, Virginia, and the surrounding New River Valley through outstanding leadership, both professionally and through his personal commitment to the community. And whereas Mr. Helms served his country honorably for over 18 years in the United States Army, retiring as Major. And whereas during his over 22-year tenure at the town of Christiansburg, including the last 5 as town manager, he has worked to make the town a better place. And whereas Mr. Helms has been vital to important projects such as construction of the Christiansburg Rescue Squad, Christiansburg Recreation Center, Christiansburg Town Hall, Christiansburg Aquatic Center, Harkrader Sports Complex, the Huckleberry Trail, the town's downtown streetscaping and enhancement projects, renovation of the Wimmer Building for the police department, and expansion of the wastewater treatment plant. And whereas Mr. Helms has contributed to long-range planning, fostering open government, providing strong financial leadership, promotion of economic development and tourism, provision of quality recreational facilities, and opportunities, expansions, and improvements of emergency services, provision of excellent public works, including streets, water, sewer, garbage collection, overseeing employees with a sense of compassion and fairness, maintaining excellent relations with the citizens, the business community, and regional partners, and providing for the health, safety, and general welfare of the town and its citizens. And whereas in doing so, he has helped raise the profile of Christiansburg and the New River Valley and graciously represented our community with tact and poise. And whereas his contributions to the community are not strictly defined through his service with the town alone, but in his generous giving of time to those in need and in serving as a role model for his employees, citizens, the community, and beyond. And whereas Mr. Helms' example will continue to have a lasting impact on the town, the region, for decades to come. Whereas on the occasion of his retirement for the town of Christiansburg, Town Council wishes to recognize Mr. Helms' contributions to our community. Now therefore be it resolved that the Christiansburg Town Council, meeting in regular session June 14, 2016, adopts this resolution in recognition and appreciation for the achievements of Barry D. Helms for his service and leadership to the town and New River Valley. We further extend best wishes to Mr. Helms in his retirement.
Thank you.
I've never seen Mr. Helms more uncomfortable.
You should have seen him Saturday when he was. So,
And you all, that was voted on Tuesday.
I had your absence on there. I tried some way to get you on there, but
You can put an X there if you want to.
we'll put it on. We'll move it over.
I wouldn't mind being included on the aye. That's all right. Absent.
We'll change it. We'll figure it out some way or another. We'll get the attorney involved. We'll rig a ballot box some way. Citizens hearings. This is a portion that we have none scheduled for tonight, but we also reserve space for any citizen to come forward to make any comments, suggestions, basically bring to our attention anything that may be of issue to them. So is there anyone here to address in the citizens hearings?
I don't know if it's proper in bringing this up this time or not, but I'd like to bring it to town, kind of, he served the town well, and he's done it well, and it's really not out of public knowledge yet, but Mr. Thompson has cancer really bad, very bad. You know, Joe's done an extreme job throughout the years in the business, and it's not looking promising, so.
Is Joe?
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
But I'd like to let everybody know we put him in prayers and his thoughts. He's a good guy, and the outlook's not looking very uplifting for him.
Okay. Thanks, Jay.
What kind of cancer is it?
Liver, stomach, blood, tumor in the stomach. The doctors are asking him if he can try to get 2,000 calories in a day, that they're going to try chemo. He did his first chemo today, but he's running on about 600 to 800 calories a day. And with the tumor growing, if they can't get the chemo in fast enough, the
Okay.
tumor will grow and he can't eat anything.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to address council? Hearing none, I will close the citizens' comments section. Staff reports and other reports. First being presentation on the tourism website. Lisa Bleakley, our county tourism director,
I
and
have Irene Kilmer with me.
Irene, okay.
So good evening, and thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. It's great to be here tonight with you. I just want to thank you for your support, and especially with Mr. Helms. I wanted to take the opportunity to thank him for his consistent guidance and support while we've been developing this program. We're coming up on 4 years now, believe it or not, come Labor Day. And we have been hard at work with a lot of different things. And one of those basic things, one of those basic things, I'm proud to say we have gone live with now. It is our tourism website. And I wanted to point out that this site is very much the culmination of a lot of other work. We started from scratch. So it took curating and in some cases purchasing images, getting photographers out and around our county. We went through, if you remember, a lot of you have participated in some research. We went through a strategic tourism plan. We needed to kind of find out what we're all about and before we wanted to go live to the world and presenting ourselves. So once all that work, we kind of got a good start with that, and we worked on the website and also an interactive map that will be plugged into the website later on this week, I'm told. So tonight I'll be showing you the tourism website and also the interactive map, but in two pieces tonight, and I'll try to be very brief. But look for, I see a lot of you have your iPads and your mobile phones, look for the URL, go to montfa.com. Once you're on your own with your leisure time, and hopefully later this week you'll see that that map's in there. We have supplied you with some guides, so when you get away from the hands-on tour tonight, you'll have instructions on how to get around the website. The site was developed with the purpose of introducing, and in some cases, reintroducing visitors to Montgomery County. When we developed this, we worked with the agency, and we knew that it had to be easy to navigate. The design needed to be very clean and have compelling hero images and description that would entice the consumer to want to learn more about our area. The site was built with the capability to grow. And the tourism staff, Irene and I, will work diligently to make sure that content is kept fresh. And that is through images or copy and different things that we can do with this website. So again, I'm going to show you the site and the map in two different parts. So let's take a look at the website itself first. And there's three different ways to get around in this website. One is I call the hamburger. And there's a second way, and that is the jigsaw puzzle piece there on the left. And then the third way are what I call the blocks down below. So this website was designed to be very educational because, again, we know that we have a lot of visitors that may not be familiar with our area. So we want to educate them on what Montgomery County is all about, and then our two towns, which happen to be two of the largest towns in Virginia, top 5 actually. So people may think they know us, but we want to tell them a little more. So on the home page, just a quick tour, you'll see a call-out box back towards the middle. This area we can change. It can be accolades such as you see here now. It could be highlighting our social media. It could be all kinds of different things. So that content can change as well as the images and descriptions. Also below, down towards the bottom, you'll see our social media channels are there, as well as a little legend to show where Montgomery County is located within the state of Virginia. And then collegiate resources and media resources are also two sections within the website. We'll get to that in a second. Okay, let's go into Christiansburg using the blocks. Now, whether you use that block or whether you go up through the navigation, the hamburger, or the jigsaw puzzle piece, all of them will get you to the same place. So you're in Christiansburg. There's a series of different hero images here. We have the ability to put 3 or 4, and again, we have the ability to change these out. And we all know that people don't take the time to read much anymore, so we give them a little teaser there for the description of these places that we've chosen to highlight now, and then the option to learn a little bit more about each of those attractions. Okay, so once that interactive map gets plugged into place, some of these keywords will be highlighted through whether you're on the home page or whether you're on one of the 3 localities attractions. We will have highlighted keywords that will, if you click on, say, Montgomery Museum and Lewis Miller Regional Arts Center, it will take you straight to the map with that particular attraction. And you'll understand that better here in a second. So let's go back to the second way in, and that would be, let's go to Blacksburg using the jigsaw puzzle. All right, so much like Christiansburg, and you'll see here with the county in a second, we've chosen some great hero images. We've highlighted some places, again, that can change, and we'll keep those changed out. And then some content to entice the reader to want to learn a little bit more. Let's use the other way we have it. Is that the hamburger, Irene? To go into the county. Same story. We have nice hero images with some copy enticing you to learn a little bit more. And we try to keep a balance between the localities. And trying to keep a balance between the offerings that we have, whether they be outdoors or arts and culture or all those sorts of things that we know we have, that visitors have interest in. Let me show you one more thing with the hamburger navigation, and that is, again, with this interactive map, once that's plugged in, under Christiansburg, Blacksburg, and Montgomery County, there will also be more hyperlinks that say places to dine, places to stay, and places to play, basically. And so with either 3 of those categories, when you click on it, that'll get you into the interactive map. Let's look at 2 places really quick before we switch over to that map, and that is collegiate resources is one. And we know that because of Virginia Tech and nearby Radford University that we have a great amount of visitation coming into the area, and we want to help those visitors out and give them quick links. And the more value we can bring to the visitor, the more credibility we earn in that visitor's eyes. So, so we have links to our local sporting facilities as well as those collegiate type facilities. And collegiate is just a working word right now. We couldn't really think of the best word to come up to kind of encompass that university presence as well as what we know Christiansburg specifically does in sports marketing. So that we could change a little bit if that's not exactly a great fit. But we know, again, we're known as a college area, so again with those 2 state universities. Okay, so the other link I wanted to show is Plan Your Trip. And this, again, we can make this pretty much as we see fit. Right now, we wanted to point out that we are a very convenient location to come to. We have the interstate, we're very proximate to the Roanoke-Blacksburg Regional Airport for fly-in. We have the SmartWay bus that connects us. We have Blacksburg Transit. Fiona, you're happy about seeing that, aren't you? We have linked to Blacksburg Transit because we know that the people may come in, through fly-in or maybe even drive in and want to know how they get around and between the two towns and throughout the county. So we've opted to point out transportation here on this page, but again, this can grow and we can make it as we see fit, and as information, quite frankly, changes and needs to be pointed out. Okay, let's go to the map really quickly. This is the map, the interactive map that's being developed by a different company, and it is going to live within an iframe that's built on the website. So it'll be plugged in, and again, there's different ways to get from the website into this map, and you'll see better once you kind of go through your tutorial and that map is plugged in. You'll see how through hyperlinks and going through the different localities that you'll get directly into this map. You can either ask to be shown how to get around the map or go straight to town, and so let's go straight to town in the interest of time. This is the home page on the map. It's a county-wide view. Our brand is that we position ourselves as a great jumping off point to many different national and state treasures, quite frankly, around us, whether it be the Blue Ridge Parkway, the Appalachian Trail, Claytor Lake State Park, plenty around us to do, but we want you to stay here in Montgomery County. We want you to sleep here, eat here, see a lot of things here, but also we want you to be able to get out around us. So you can stay a little longer, spend a little more with us. So there's a couple of different ways to get around in the map itself, and those two ways are either the go to, and there's different categories here. Let's just go into one, pick one, Irene. Yeah, lodging would be one. So we want to know all the lodging properties, the places that we can stay, whether they be hotels or bed and breakfasts, and this would show you all of them, and then you click on one, you learn a little bit more about that particular property. And so that's one way in through all those categories. Another way would be in keywords, and that's under the search bar. And a lot of time was spent in this area, because as you know, we all search things differently. As Irene and I found out, I said, you know, maybe while I'm in Montgomery County, I may want to go on a hike. And Irene's like, well, maybe I want to go hiking, or maybe I know the place, and I know I want to go to Pandapas Pond. So we had to think of all the different ways that people would search, whether they be on the actual activity, the street address, or the name of the place. So we have worked very hard to make sure that that is intuitive for the visitor. And so we invite you tonight to look at these pieces, especially this map, because it is so data-driven. And the data, by the way, comes from the county and from the towns. So we know, we work hard to make sure that that's accurate. We solicit, from Val and Susan over in Blacksburg and Angie at the county. We, look at all those businesses that we have on record. The ones that go out, we want to make sure that they're taken down. The ones that come on, we want to make sure that they're promoted there and keeping that information fresh for the visitor. So that is pretty much in a nutshell. I could talk more, but I know you have a full agenda tonight. So again, I would invite you to look through this, use your guide, give us some feedback. It's a soft launch right now. We will be ready. We've got a marketing plan to promote not only our brand, but to drive people to this website, because we know in the digital world, we can measure that. We can look at the conversion, whether what we're doing is actually bringing people into the area through the means of surveys and so forth. So if you have any questions for me tonight, I would be glad to take them, or you know where my office is and phone number.
Guys, comments, questions?
I would just like to thank you for featuring the Montgomery Museum there and the Christiansburg slides there. And speaking for Sue Farrar, we really appreciate it. I think you gave us $2,000 for tourism money for the Mountains of Music about 2 weeks ago. And I think Sue would really want to tell you how much we appreciate that.
I have just one question for you. I really like the website. I love it being interactive and accessible, and it seems like it's quite user-friendly as well. For someone who's not maybe as savvy, I'm not that savvy when it comes to internet usage, ironically enough. I don't utilize it a lot. But one thing I noticed when you were during the, I think maybe it was a pull-down menu or something or other, it had the venues for sports and for athletics, recreation. And I noticed it didn't include our Christmas Recreation Center, which is utilized, yeah, this is exactly it. It didn't include the for youth amateur because we use a lot of that for the Christmas Recreation Center for the travel basketball, AAU
Absolutely,
tournaments all
yeah.
throughout the East Coast, and it's a beautiful venue up there. And I thought maybe that needs to be, if it's a possibility of having that on there as well. I think
That was a total oversight.
That's okay.
I'm not sure how we abbreviated some things because it ran off the page and the scrolling kept on, but I'm sure that's not anything we would cut, but that would definitely be put back on. And actually, even to some degree, maybe the schools may be listed, because I know a lot of competitions occur there.
Yes, ma'am.
We've listed those on our tear-off map, but this interactive map was meant to be a digital complement of that tear-off map, and the Recreation Center is listed on that, so we'll make sure to get it on.
Thank you
this
very
as
much.
well.
And, I mean, the site is beautiful, and I love the pictures are just fantastic.
Great,
Thank you.
Thank you.
The pictures are enticing.
Mhm.
I mean, even if I was looking at another place in the state, those would entice me, the pictures that you have.
We have a great destination, we really do, and it was really reinforced as we went through this project.
Thank you,
Worth the
Ms.
wait.
Henry,
Thanks,
go ahead.
Lisa.
Thank you
You
very
got it?
much.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Lisa.
you.
Sherman Media Resource Area.
Next, under staff reports, Wayne Nelson, Director of Engineering and Special Projects, to provide an update on the engineering department. Wayne?
Before we get started here in the PowerPoint, first I want to say thank you. Good evening, members of Town Council, Mayor Barber. Appreciate being able to present to you gentlemen this evening and ladies. First, I'd ask John to pull up a document, Word document I have here that I have presented to you. Just for your information, I brought it up benefit of the audience that I retitled it, but this is just a snapshot of a working document that we use in engineering capital projects. It's not all inclusive, but it's projects that are funded or going to be funded, and it's how we work from week to week, keeping issues, projects out in front of us, and how we keep track of where we are and keeping things on schedule and on budget. I don't tend to go through this and belabor it here. Scroll me faster, John, if you would, please.
On the stormwater project.
Stuck here. But I just wanted to present that to you. I'll refer to this at the very end here. Thank you. I want to focus on capital projects, paving as well. Start with the a program that we recently received funding. We, thanks to Todd Walters and Travis Moles, they put in an application for primary street paving. It was a program that was just opened up to localities, and it's 100% grant. You could apply up to $1 million worth of paving, which we did, and we received just over $443,000, and we are planning on paving West Main Street from Bradford Road to Moose Drive, and Depot Street from the end of the paving that we did for the Waterline project on Depot, which is, trying to remember. Lester Street, thank you, Todd. Lester to Roanoke Street. And that we just received notice, we have to have this advertised for contract by December. We're very grateful to receive this money. Also, we have another little initiative underway, a street condition rating contract. We piggybacked on the VDOT contract, where we're going to get all of our streets in town rated. CCI stands for Critical Condition Index, and we can use this information to prioritize streets for paving. It also supports the revenue sharing applications that we submit to VDOT for funding. This also will support consideration of other maintenance techniques like crack sealing as we move into our pavement management program. This year, we graciously received $1 million with a budget for paving, 500 out of the general fund and 500,000 supported by revenue share funds. And this is the list of streets that we have selected for paving, which have a CCI rating of 60 or below, which qualifies it for revenue sharing funds. I've also provided you with a map that shows you the general location of these streets. That paving, I believe, is started in July, as I say here. When we bid it, we got an exceptionally good unit price for asphalt. I think it's $73 a ton. That's extremely good news for us, which resulted in a balance of 200,000 in excess of there. So what we have initially selected for additional paving are 2 streets, Pepper Spray Road extension. It's a primary road that didn't receive funding out of the new funding program. That's the westbound lanes from Arbor Drive to North Franklin Street. And then we've also selected Roanoke Street. Those are the 2 inbound lanes from Tower Road to Houchins. That side only, the inbound lanes, qualified for that paving. It's CCI below 60. So that is what we have under consideration for using the balance of those funds. Coming up here, this upcoming fiscal year, $800,000 for paving. Unfortunately, we were not awarded, I don't think anyone was awarded any revenue sharing funds for paving. So these funds are straight out of the general fund. We do have a full depth reclamation project scheduled for John Lemley Lane, estimated between $250,000 and $300,000. It's different from our Colden Place project we undertook. This is something new to the town as well. Full depth reclamation is where they bring in a machine, chew up the asphalt, the base stone, subgrade, add cement in there and put it back down, roll it, and then they put the surface course down. Much cheaper than the standard. We go in, excavate, remove all the material, haul it away, truck it away, haul in new material. This is a process where they just use what's in place and add what they need. We haven't established the paving list yet. That will be established once we get our condition rating project results.
Mr. Nelson, if I can ask you just a question on
Sure
that.
can.
I remember we got somewhat acclimated to the cold in place recycling efforts. It was a term, but I can't recall that term off the top of my head, but a couple of years ago. And we had talked at that time about the if there was any deterioration or if there was any quality standard from new pavement as to doing the cold in place recycling. I think we kind of weighed the pros and cons with the cost savings and then with the longevity of how long it would last. When we do something like what you just mentioned, the full depth reclamation project, what kind of quality is that when we're using the material that's already present, regrind and put down, and then do this smooth on top? What kind of quality do we expect from something like that?
Top quality. VDOT has specifications for this. Salem has recently done this, and we've been up to talk to them and see it. We expect high quality. We have high expectations for this.
And with the cost savings?
With the cost savings.
Thank you.
Wayne, what's the biggest difference in the two programs? Is it just the concrete that you mix in, or?
Well, Colden Place did not get into the subgrade. It stayed just in the stone and asphalt layer. You used only that. Where this goes in and just goes down full depth, takes it all, takes it in the machine, grinds it up, mixes it, and they put it back down. We're very excited to see what this could mean for us. We were excited about Colden Place. As you remember, we were the first locality in the state to try that. I don't know that anyone else has since, but I think the results were excellent. You ride South Franklin Street from the Interstate Bridge out, and then once you hit town limits, you hit VDOT maintained street and they paved about the same time we did our project. Take a look at where they're resurfacing, what the condition of that resurfacing is compared to what we did. It gives me pleasure.
You gave a demonstration on this about 2 summers ago, right?
We did.
Yeah.
Whoop, in the wrong direction. Okay, I want to jump to the funding, get myself caught up here. The recent announcement by VDOT of funds that are being allocated, and these are the projects that we've been blessed with. We had excess of $348,000 awarded to the Park Street sidewalk and storm drain project that currently has been designed and is out to bid right now. We are pleased to announce that we have received funding for the signal at Quinn W. Stewart Boulevard and Peppers Ferry Road. That'll make a lot of people out there happy. Arbor Drive sidewalk improvements and Roanoke Street sidewalk improvements. We didn't get all the money there we had requested, so I've talked to VDOT and we are considering consolidating those two projects into one, and probably we're looking at Arbor Drive to try to complete that project in its entirety because of its proximity to the hotels and the restaurants out there, number of people that use that out there. We received additional funding for guardrail replacement, sidewalk replacement around town, and then funds for the North Franklin Street storm drain improvements. And that is a project that takes it, there's a storm drain system that runs through town property and underneath Ideal Cabinets and those that block of buildings right there. And all of that, all the storm drainage runs underneath those buildings. And what we're going to do is intercept that water, pipe it out to the street, take it down, and tie it in on the other end. All of this in advance of the last phase of the downtown enhancement project, phase 3, where we provide improvements, sidewalk improvements and signal improvements from the post office to Kroger.
Going back to Arbor,
Sure.
right now there's sidewalks, then there's no sidewalks, then there's sidewalks.
Right.
And so when this gets through, it'll be, a whole area will be sidewalk.
That is correct, sir. Yes, sir.
I can ask you a question, Wayne.
Sure.
I go back one screen on the on the traffic light
Yes, sir.
for Quinn Stewart. Did VDOT, did they complete their traffic study there, or was this done because of this safety?
We initiated it because of obvious reasons, and we also have some influx on the private side with money to help with this project.
Right.
And it was that traffic count that talked to VDOT that at the 100th unit out there, it would trigger the signal warrant. But in talking to VDOT, we didn't want to wait until the 100th unit has got a CO.
Right.
They agreed that we can go ahead and get this started. This project is in the office under review, and they plan to move forward with it. So VDOT is okay with us go ahead and getting this designed and installed.
And Mr. Nilsson, on that same vein there, what is the town's match for that Quinn Stewart signal? Because I know we have private investment as well that we're using for a portion of the match as well.
About 200,000.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, of a project that's approximately 800,000 to $1 million, our town match is 20%, thereabouts?
No, we're probably
25%.
25%.
About 25%.
25%. Revenue sharing is 50/50. The next project's here, transportation alternative, that's the 80-20 split, where we provide 20%. We applied for $250,000 for the phase 3 of the downtown project, but we were granted $125,000. That'll get us started. That'll get us started on the engineering. And we were granted additional $250,000 for the Huckleberry Trail phase 3, which will extend the trail from Food Line through Oak Tree, through the high school to Independence Boulevard.
Why is that on hold?
We're waiting for VDOT to give us the green light to turn Gay and Neil loose on the design. For some reason it's held up.
So you have a contract pending and you just wait
Yes,
for
we
them
do.
to,
It's negotiated, we're ready to roll.
thanks.
This is, I'd like to point this out, Cambridge Street, North Franklin Street intersection, corridor improvements. We received HB2 funding. They have a new name for that. HB2 rolls off the tongue pretty easy, but they now call it Smart Scale funding. This project is now in the 6-year plan. We were granted a total of $8.49 million. That is 100% grant. And next year to get started, we've got about $1.5 million to start with engineering and right-of-way acquisition.
Mr. Nilsson, just for members of the public that are here or that might watch the video, could you give us from the high school all the way up to the intersection there on Cambria and North Franklin, is that correct?
That is
whole
correct.
corridor?
It starts at Independence, and it will involve curb and gutter and storm drain, sidewalks, street lighting, all the way up that corridor. It will include a traffic signal at Patrick's Way, which is our future
Connector from the...
connector from 114, that signal, that intersection. And then last but certainly not least, the redesign of the five-legged intersection at Cambridge and North Franklin. VDOT,
We're all looking forward to that.
they have great interest in this.
Yes, sir.
They have great interest in us succeeding. And I will point out too that along that corridor, we are closing the entrances to the businesses, but we're also acquiring right-of-way across the frontage of the Food Line Shopping Center, basically creating a street up to the rec center from Oak Tree Boulevard, which will give all those businesses access to a publicly maintained street, and it will also improve safety on North Franklin Street, taking all that turn movement off that highway.
Mr. Hall, leave that slide up. Mr. Hall, this 1.48448 million, that's part of the funds that we were talking about will help pay for, well, we'll pay for the transportation engineer that we're hiring, because we're going to self-administer this project.
We are. VDOT, you caught my recent justification, you gentlemen. VDOT questioned Tommy DeJulian in Richmond, whether or not we could handle it. He said we could. He backed us. On that note, we have, I say new staff, administrative specialist, or as we know it as the EPI secretary. It's not a new position. We had a turnover. Ms. Tracy Eastridge, she left for the school board, and we wish her luck, but I was just told at 5 o'clock this evening that we have hired a young lady. Her name is Devin Eckstein, and she is a very good candidate here, and we're very pleased to have her on board. She has the skill set of an administrative specialist, but she also came out of high school in her tech second year as a ChemE, and so she thinks with both sides of her brain, and she understands us, and she started out as a temp, but after reviewing 50 applications and conducting interviews, she's the cream of the crop, and we're very pleased to have her. Mentioned the GIS engineering technician and the transportation engineer, program manager. I want to express my gratitude for funding of those positions. I can tell you everyone in the engineering department appreciates it. Last but not least, here I wanted to hit on some initiatives we've got going on coming up here. We're going to work with the finance department to implement a time tracking software, expanding on what we already have. This will allow us to seek reimbursement from VDOT for our labor that we when we work on VDOT projects. We're going to continue development of our design development manual, where we're establishing design standards and procedures to aid development in town. We're going to be physically mapping all the storm drain system in town as part of our MS4 program requirements. Now that our AMI project is in place and we've replaced all of our meters in town and they're registering very efficient, now we're going to go after water loss within our system. We're going to look for that lost revenue or try to cut down on wholesale water expenses. And then we're implementing HyperWeb. It's a program Public Works is using, and one of our first initiatives is project management. And going back to the list that I brought up in the beginning, we look to utilize that and help us track projects, and I like to have a dashboard where we can see at a glance where we are, where we're behind. And in the future, I'll be able to provide you with more in-depth information. With that note, do you have any questions?
I'll make a statement, Mr. Nelson, though. You've answered my questions, but throughout this, and obviously we've got this big report here, very detailed about the capital improvement projects. I want to express my gratitude to you and your department for I think the effective use of the possibilities of grant funding. I mean, if there's anything we've seen in the last 2 or 3 years is that we get a lot of, I call it free money. I understand it's 80-20, there's 50-50, different matching, but the opportunity there for us to enhance the quality of lives for our citizens and the safety, as importantly, it's there because of the efforts of you and your department in really trying to push the envelope here. And that's something that from my first couple years on council to my last couple years, I see more and more, I guess, doors open by way and by means of grant funding that I didn't see before. So I really very appreciate that. I'm very excited about the corridor. I think that intersection there, look, I understand it is what it is. We have to deal with what we've got right now. But I can't wait for one day when you can come in from Blacksburg, either off the bypass or from the 460 business, and actually go to one area instead of having to have two separate points there. But that's, again, grant funding is going to pave the way for us to be able to do that. And obviously, if we're self-administering, that's fantastic. And so I thank you again very much for this. And I appreciate, again, the level of specificity in these capital improvement projects. This makes it very real to me when I see there's an infinite amount, basically, of project that we have underway. But thank you very much for that specificity.
Well, you're welcome, and I think credits due where it's due. And I'll thank Barry Helms.
Barry pushes grants too.
He
A
does.
little bit.
Well, what you may not realize is that at one time I was director of engineering and public works, and that's a lot to chew. And Barry had the vision and the foresight to split those in half. I think it served public works very well. Ricky Bourne is a great director, and those guys deserved a director that was on site down there that could really support them. And I applaud Barry for that. And then when I had that taken off my plate, then I could focus on our engineering group here. And it's the whole department that pulls the weight. The whole department. Thank you.
These extensions too of the Huckleberry Trail, I mean, you know, it's just hard to believe how much, since the bridge was put in, that new area has, and this new area will even increase traffic more. And I think the citizens will really appreciate, you know, what you guys are doing.
Thank you very much.
Wayne, can you tell us a little bit about the engineering intern programs that we offer or did offer or what we're looking at? Since we have such a great resource at Virginia Tech.
And we have three interns working for us right now. One with GIS, one with John Environmental, and one with Jesse in Utilities. And they have hit the ground running. And I remember the second finance committee meeting, and we talked about this. And I remember telling you, sir, that we don't bring them on just to bring them on.
Right.
We have projects that we have to get done, and the engineering staff does a good job of keeping them on task, and they're funded through October. Going to miss them when they're gone, but they're great people and very, very helpful, very, very helpful.
This is a program we're going to continue to
Oh,
offer
absolutely.
year after year.
We have a wage line item. I want to get the help in here because we need the help.
Excellent.
Yes, sir.
And just to tack on to the independence of the Cambria Street, it's something for years when, and I'm glad Wayne mentioned this, the sidewalk from Independence, at least on the recreation side, for years. And I remember mentioning it back in 2008. We got a lot of youth. I know the Huckleberry Connection is going to help that, but a lot of our youth walk on that 4-lane highway with no pedestrian accommodation whatsoever from the high school down. So that's something I'm looking forward to as well, is protect those kids. And I know the Huckleberry Extension will help that, but, you know, this will help as well. Thank you, Wayne.
Any other questions or comments? And Wayne, thank you. Appreciate the efforts. Next on our staff reports, Fire Chief Billy Hanks to provide an update on the fire department and the new ISO rating.
Turn the lights back up if you can. We'll have a PowerPoint tonight, and we'll make it brief. Mayor, Council, Mr. Helms, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to come give you a quick briefing. It's not going to be long tonight, I promise. But I also want to thank you for all the support that you give the fire department and the support with the budget and improving the budget, you know, for the upcoming year. We still currently have 40 members, 38 volunteers and 2 paid staff. Since July 1 of last year, the volunteers have run 819 calls, 62 different call types, you know, whether it be a structure fire, mulch fire, vehicle accident, or anything like that. Of the calls responded to, 499 were town responses, 320 were county responses, and we are down to 19 building fires, structure fires from 25 from the previous year. The fire inspection program that we initiated last year with the help of you guys funding another position for our deputy fire marshal. He has inspected 655 businesses in the past year, which has resulted in 1,150 inspection reports or re-inspection reports. So you'd be pleased to know that he's out here doing what we hired him to do. We're still finding the most common fire code violations, emergency lights and exit lights not working, extension cords, and so forth. But that's common anywhere you go. Our volunteers continue to provide fire safety talk and station tours to public and special interest groups. This year we've hosted or gone to locations and presented public and fire education talks and supplied our apparatuses for tours for children. Preschools, daycares, Boy and Girl Scout groups, homeschool children, Chamber of Commerce comes by when they do their chamber tours. Citizens Academy, we host that. We go to the Aquatic Center, we do their safety presentation for them every year. We've even had the Head Start groups from Radford, City of Radford, Floyd County, and Blacksburg come over, and tour the station. There have been 45 groups that we've spoke to, which this number sort of astounded me. But we don't have a clicker that we track this with, but we sort of track it by the amount of stuff that we present or give out to the kids. We've seen 2,253 kids in the past year that we have talked to or demonstrated fire prevention, fire safety stuff. And I just said that. I said, there's no way that number could be right. But if you look at that number and you divide it into the groups we had, we're averaging about 67 people per group, which is about right when you stop and think about it. But the two big events we have every year is the Fall Festival in October and Wilderness Trail Days, in September. And we judge that by the amount of these hats we give away. And that's how we come up with these numbers. But not only the children, we've spoken to 757 adults about fire safety and prevention. So that's pretty astounding. We continue to do, all the volunteers continue to assist us with fire inspections as needed. And they also provide fire extinguisher training to businesses and to our people here if they need it here. I want to talk to you about our ISO rating, our Insurance Services Office report. I'm very pleased to announce, and I think Mr. Helms, did you send them the copy of the letter?
I think so.
From ISO, we have increased our rating from a class 5 to a class 4, which the city of Bristol is a career department. They just received the class 4, and we're still doing it with volunteers. So very excited about that. We missed a class 3 by that much. And we're working hard right now to get to that class 3. Once we achieve the goals that we need to get to the class 3, I'm going to ask for another inspection because I want that class 3 pretty bad. But I think it says a lot for the group of people that we have and the volunteers that we have that we're able to decrease the rating to a class 4. What that means for the community is that the homeowners within the town limits should be able to call their insurance companies now and get them to reevaluate their fire insurance on their homeowners policy. They should get a small decrease. A whole lot went into this to get us to where we needed to be with that. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank everybody that did that. Our public works staff, Jesse Nestor has worked on our water system here in town. Out of 50 possible points on water and water supply and our ability to supply water for fire hydrants and to fight fire with, we got 50 out of 50. And that says a lot for Jesse and the group in planning, engineering, and public works. Ricky Bourne and his staff, Leon Martin that headed up our fire hydrant inspection program. We never really had a fire hydrant inspection program to where we're going out and servicing hydrants every year. We have successfully serviced every fire hydrant in town that's serviceable. We have a list of hydrants that need to be replaced. Public Works has those in the system, and we're going to replace them as funding's available. And we're color coding the fire hydrants to meet NFPA standards now, which we had our own standard before. But now we're going to be standardized with NFPA color coding so that all the localities around us are all on NFPA. So we go into Blacksburg, we know what kind of hydrant we're hooking up to, and we know how much water we're going to be able to get out of that hydrant. If Blacksburg comes over here, they know how much water we have, well, how much supply water we have. So that's a good thing. But that couldn't have been possible without the public works staff and the work that they did to get us there. Every fire hydrant has been GPS. It's been located. It's on a map. We're able to pull this mapping up in our vehicles now, or in my vehicle on the trucks to look for hydrants. The dispatch center can pull the mapping up and tell us where hydrants are if we have a fire call. They're all numbered, matched, and ready to go. With the purchase of the Roanoke Street property, future construction of the emergency services building, we're in a better position to improve customer service on that end of town. That will bring everybody, once we get that building up and running, that'll bring everyone past Kirby Drive to the town limits. That'll get them out of that Class 10 ISO. And to get that Class 10 ISO is anything that's further out than 5 miles from the fire station, 5 road miles from the fire station. So from the downtown station to Kirby Drive is 5 miles. So anything past that, there's still a 10, even though they're in the town limits. There's still a 10. So when we build the station on Roanoke Street, that's going to get the whole limits of the town of Christiansburg in the Class 4 ISO rating. So that's something that we need to work toward, and try to approve funding for that as we go. As of today, all of our dispatch communications have been transferred to the new dispatch center at the Public Safety Building. Christiansburg PD just changed over today. Montgomery County changed over last week. Everything's going smooth. You allowed me funding on software to be able to tie the fire department in with the dispatch center. It's cut our paperwork in half. We don't have to call them to get times. We pull the report up itself. Brag on our membership a little bit. We attended the Southwest Virginia Firefighters Association Conference 2 weeks ago. Nathan Brubaker is one of our firefighters, was elected as first vice president. Buddy Joe Smith was honored with a life membership award, and he was also elected assistant treasurer. Our members competed in competitions at the conference. We brought home 3 first-place trophies, 3 second-place trophies, and 3 third-place trophies. And I'm very pleased and honored to be part of the group, but we've actually had 9 past presidents of this association. So we've got one more after next year that will be a president, so that'll give us 10. And we're the only locality that is a member of the Southwest Association that has 10 past presidents. So very pleased with that. Ask you again, I've asked you every time I talk to you, if you see these guys out here, thank them for what they do. They save the taxpayers a tremendous amount of money. Members would like to congratulate Mr. Helms on his retirement. We're going to miss you. I don't think we've ever butted heads, really, since I've been the chief. He's always given me direction, and Brad, with the comments you made at the dinner Saturday was tremendous. I wish I could remember them all, but
I don't
Barry
remember them
Barry is genuine. He's genuine. What you see is what you get, and it's been a pleasure to work for you. Any questions? Steve?
You know, we want, as council, make sure that you know, the volunteers, how much we appreciate what you guys do, you know. And I know nobody ever says anything like we just bring it up there, but we really do appreciate it, and we appreciate the wonderful job that you guys do.
Well, thank
And
you.
if you would pass that on.
Absolutely. It's probably the best group around. They really are. They do a good job. Mr. Collins?
Yes, sir. I just want to say for everybody here, and I have some personal experience with him in his department. He's the best I've ever seen. He saved my house one night about 1 o'clock in the morning. It was ice all over the road, and they were there in no time. Saved my house. Really did. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
One other thing, if you don't mind. If we were to look at the reports, the 911 reports, could we see what time you or the rescue squad or the police department received a call, who answered the call, and all that kind of stuff?
You'll be able to get the times. I'm not sure.
Okay,
The radio all may show who was on the call maybe, but.
okay,
I know the new software we've got, I can tell you who's driving the truck and how many people were on scene and who they were. But I just think the 911 records, I think all they're gonna show you is call time, I believe.
okay, so what if you wanted to find out if one locality could not field a call and another locality had to do it? Will it show that?
On the fire side, I can provide that to you off of mutual aid because that's in the new software.
Okay, for the police and the
I can
rescue
just do the
squad?
fire side, but I'm
Okay,
not sure
yeah.
about police and rescue.
Okay,
About that.
okay, thanks, bud.
Thank you.
Chief Higgins?
Yes.
That's got a request. I was wondering if, I know some volunteers, but I don't know the majority.
Sure,
of them.
sure.
So, I mean, you mentioned, if you see them and the picture says 1,000 words, and I was wondering if we could get either work with PR or get a picture of the fellas and a register that we at least have in the hallway or in these council
Right,
chambers.
we're actually working on a new group picture because we haven't had a group picture since I've taken over as chief. So we're actually working on that right now. But we're gonna work with PR. We're gonna do a spotlight on the volunteers and on the monthly, is it monthly or bi-monthly publication that we put out. We're gonna do a feature on the volunteer firefighters in the newsletter. So, yeah, we'll get you something.
Or at least have it here in council chambers.
Absolutely.
A lot of
I'd be
spectators
glad
come
to. As
in.
soon as we get a picture made of me, I'll
And this is probably something you're already working on, but I noticed, I believe one of the Board of Supervisors, they were discussing this in reference to the new fire station EMS out in Reiner, but, they mentioned specifically, and I guarantee you've already thought of this, pretty much a step ahead of most of us on council when it comes to retention and recruiting, but I think they mentioned the lounge, that they're gonna look at that or revamping something upstairs. I know our second floor is a little outdated. I mean,
That's
just
a crew
from
hall, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a remodel. When we did our remodel, it's been 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
And been that long?
Three.
It's been a little while.
Time flies.
It does. About 5 years ago, we remodeled the upstairs of the station, with the HVAC stuff repainted and done some work there. I know that the rescue squad has a plan for a remodel upstairs on their building over there that they've been trying to put together. I don't know a lot about it, but I know that's been in the works for a while. We haven't had a problem with retention on the fire department. We're very fortunate. The biggest issue we've got right now is we have an aging staff. We take on people, we screen them really well, they don't leave us, they stay with us. And we have pretty particular about who we take. And we want to be sure that if we invest the time in them, that they're going to be there with us for a while. Our newest member right now has got 3 years of service, and our oldest guy's got 55 years of service. So we get them and they stay, and we appreciate them, and they like the rest of us to get old.
When's the next time you guys meet? Your whole group?
With the whole group, we meet the first and third Tuesday of every month.
Okay, if you could set up a time where I could come up there and anybody else here that would like to join me.
Anyone's
We
welcome,
thank these
anytime
guys.
for business meeting, we start
Yeah.
at 7 o'clock. And first and third Tuesday, we did that so we could offset
Yeah.
your meeting here, and it works out because I get to come speak to you, and I get to come sit in on meetings every once in a while too.
Billy, I'd like to applaud your inspection program. I didn't know the numbers. 600 inspections a couple of years ago is when we approved that deputy position. But one quick story about that reminds me of the Andy Griffith episode, Barney and the Governor. But within the last year, I got a phone call, and if I mention the business, everyone will know who it is. But it's a name that everyone in this room would recognize. Called me and said, what's going on with these inspections, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I explained what we're doing and why we're doing it. But the best story about this is that when I told this gentleman that the very first person that was cited with a violation was our own fire department with a $60,000 ventilation hood,
Yeah.
it quieted him right down.
And And, you know, we
Our
went
first
through
violation.
the vendor process, you know, we were able not to spend that whole amount of money either.
Well, I
which was
know,
very well.
but the point
But yeah, I
was
mean,
that
you know, when we hired Curtis, you know, he didn't live in Christiansburg. He lives away from here, so he didn't have a hard time telling anybody no.
we got the first violation.
And it's worked out real well because, you know, Curtis is the kind of guy that will work with people and sit down and explain to them why we're doing this and stuff. So
Yeah.
we made a very good choice when we hired him.
Well, the numbers are showing it too. There's less fires, so you have to assume
Absolutely.
that there's a relationship.
And his inspection, this is the second go-around on his inspections. So they're going faster. There's not as many violations. Everybody comes in, offers him a cup of coffee when he comes to the door now. It's not like, oh God, it's you, we heard you're coming. So, it hasn't, you know, it's been a good program and it's a good PR building program for us too.
Thank you.
So thank you guys tremendously.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, buddy.
That finishes our staff reports. The next section is discussion by mayor and council members requiring council action on a conditional use permit request by Kessler Contracting, agent for Michael Larkin on Main Street, Inc., for a private school, zoning ordinance 42-30514 at 100 West Main Street, parcel 527A66 in the B2 Central Business District.
Planning Commission was unanimous, and I hope the council is. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we accept the Planning Commission's recommendation to grant the conditional use permit for Kessler Contracting on behalf of Mr. Larkin.
I'll second that.
The motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilman Hall?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
It would be 6-0. Thank you. Next, we need to appoint, or we were asked to appoint Planning Director Andrew Warren as a zoning administrator. And he has that experience in his repertoire from other locations, and I think Randy has been doing a very good job filling in the interim, but it's time to let Andrew have that position.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilman Hall?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
You 6-0. Credit manual for stormwater utility. Was that in the package or was it? We've looked at that over the last
It
several
goes
weeks.
along with the stormwater fee and program we put in place last meeting.
It outlines what the residents and the business can do
To get a credit.
to get a credit on the stormwater maintenance fee. So we needed to put this in as part of that,
It's part of the program.
part of the program.
Move that we approve the credit manual for stormwater utility.
Got a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilman Hall?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter? Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
It would be 6-0. Thank you very much. Consideration of a contract with Blacksburg Transit for transportation services during fiscal year 16-17.
All of you received a copy of the contract. Grant funding was approved from the state for Blacksburg Transit to provide us service, so our out-of-pocket expense will be the same as last year, $259,386 for the operations, and $30,000 for, we've been putting $30,000 a year in for capital, so that's an additional $30,000 will be for capital. Same operation we've been doing. There's some tweaks that they'd like to make to the services. At some point, when the committee gets back together later this year, they'll discuss that with the transit committee and make final decisions on that. And Blacksburg Transit is here if you want to have, if you have any questions, Steve Ross is deputy town manager in Blacksburg, and other members of the staff are here, so.
You've got about 4 or 5. Do I have to take a bus over here, Steve? Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we accept the contract. Barry, you gonna sign this by Thursday? Your name's on
I
it.
can sign it tonight if we need to.
I'll make a motion that we accept the contract as presented.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. I thought I'm reading, I would reduce it to 175,000 or so. Am I thinking crazy on that, or?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, I just wanted to, okay.
I'll go ahead. I want to mention something. We had discussions about with the BT. We had discussions with the about continuing the service, tweaking the service, maybe changing the service, maybe getting rid of one route or getting rid of Explorer, going with Go Anywhere. And I'm very appreciative and very thankful that the grant funding came down. It may be in the 11th hour, but regardless, it was still before midnight, and allowed us to go ahead and implement this. There's a number of citizens that I work with that use the transit. They use the Go Anywhere probably more than anything else. But I'm very appreciative that the amount of money we spend as a council, as a town, is not increasing, yet the level of service as well is going to be the same as what we expected and have received in years past. So again, I'm cautiously optimistic we're going to find this out for fiscal year 2017 and 2018. But regardless, I'm very appreciative that it's here for this year, for at least the next 12 months for us to enjoy and for our citizens to enjoy. So thank you very much.
You on that committee?
No.
Mike, are you on? It's going to be on the committee.
There's Mayor and Mr. Van Hoosier, and we need to.
Jim is still on that, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He enjoys that quite a bit. So.
I think we actually,
The BT stuff?
There's two transit committees, one
Right.
the planning district, or regional commission. I think he's still on that one, but we haven't had a meeting for probably 6, 8 months for the regional, Blacksburg Transit Committee. And it's several members of staff and the mayor and one council member, which was Mr. Van Hoosier. So I don't know if he's officially on it now or not.
I'll look.
That's something we definitely need to, I know when we first started the program or the partnership with BT, we were pretty active with our involvement with routes and needs and things like that, and I think we've sort of wavered over the past few years.
Well, the meetings have decreased because they've been lacking leadership, I think. The meetings were, I'm sorry, Mayor, I'm talking.
Go right ahead.
The meetings decreased quite a bit recently, haven't they, Mr. Ross?
Yeah, the weekly leadership is based on,
Yeah.
the schedule and what committees met in the past.
Right, but I think that answers some of it,
Yeah.
was BT was lacking a director for some time.
Year and a half.
Steve was acting,
Yeah,
Mr. Ross was acting.
We get notification of those meetings, and we'll continue to do so.
Mr. Mayor, did we, when we discussed this before, as I recall, we said that we were going to revisit this maybe in 6 months in the fall and see how ridership is going and get sort of an update. And we were hoping that they would come and make a presentation there, in October and November to give us an update on what kind of ridership we have.
well, I know under Section 7A of the contract, they, upon request, they're going to provide any ridership details to us. I'd almost like for us as a council to be looking at those numbers on a monthly basis, just if it's not too much, if it's not cumbersome for those figures to be able to be delivered, just so we can kind of track and see where we're at. I would agree with Mr. Hufford. But we were going to actually revisit as a council to see about tweaks. Of course, I think we were also talking about that at a time which we were looking at having to pay an excess amount before the grant came over.
Right.
And that's kind of been a wash since the grant funding kind of showed up.
Somehow I thought we were just going to put it on the agenda for later on in the year, just so they could come out here and give
Yeah,
it to us.
I think that was correct, but we can't do anything until we approve this contract.
Okay.
And that's kind of what I'd like to call
Okay.
for the vote on. So do we have a motion and a second?
There's a motion, was there a second?
There's already a second.
Motion and a second, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilman Hall?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
It'll be 6-0, thank you. And that will give us some time some breathing room. And Mr. Collins, I think when we first started talking about, we were having to look we're gonna have to fund another $175,000.
Okay, that must be-
Had we not gotten the grant. The
That's
grant's in, so that's off the table for now. I mean,
Okay,
but
thanks.
we will start working on that.
All right, thanks.
Council reports, Mr. Hubbard.
Oh, thank you. I was gonna list off some of the things that Mr. Helms has accomplished, since he's been here, but you pretty much did that in the proclamation, I thought. I just have three little additions that sort of my own personal thing. And one was Depot Park, how that has been improved so much in the last couple of years. And I know you're directly or indirectly responsible for that too. And I just wanted to say to you and Randy about helping me and getting that bench up on the park, on the bridge. And that, I think you already know how much I appreciated that. And then the last thing, I really have always appreciated the support that I got from staff for the columbarium being put up and looking so good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have nothing other than thank you, Mr. Helms, especially for putting up with me. I appreciate it. But the admin lot, I mean, I know I could come to you and ask questions or send you questions, but I just want to thank you again.
Mr. Stipes?
3 words to describe Barry Helms that just has popped in my head, Billy. Faithful. What was it? Faithful, integrous, and authentic. Those are 3 words that pop in my head when I think of you. So that's it.
Mr. Hall?
I got a couple things I want to mention. First off, before I talk about Mr. Helms, Recreation Commission meeting will not be held in July. It actually falls on July 4th. We're going to have our next meeting in August, and the things that were brought up in the last discussion, I'll ensure, for instance, looking at the Truman Wilson property, perhaps as serving as a cross-country trail for our high school students. That'll be brought up in August, and I'll report back to council by that first meeting in August as to the way the commission responded to that. I also want to mention, I didn't get a chance to mention when I missed the last council meeting, but for those of you that are aware, the Recreation Department received an $80,000 free set of playground equipment to be installed. Basically, we have to provide probably call the Ignite people, they would help us out with that as well. But we just have to put in basically the footers and the base. And they're going to put in $80,000 worth of free equipment, and all it took was a request and an answer to I guess I hate to call it a sweepstakes, but really it's like an ad for a contest. Our recreation manager entered, and the county of Christiansburg won. And so that's something else. We have a lot of pocket parks, which we pride ourselves on, for having access for all children, all families to have access to a park close to their home. And this will allow us, again, to enhance those areas. I believe they're looking at the wayside, Mr. Helms?
Actually looking at the, down John Lemley.
Down that side of town, which is right now.
There's a lot down there. We went and looked at it today.
Great.
Carefully.
And that's in need of a park in that area. There are a lot of kids there. And
Nothing on that end of town.
Nothing. And then and we have these little, those little cross sections where you try to have everybody in close proximity, and that's one area that's lacking at this point. So we're very appreciative of that.
For something out that way too.
And what I also wanted to mention that I wasn't able to be with Mr. Helms at his on Saturday. I called Mr. Barber, Mayor Barber. I coach every weekend for softball, travel softball, and I'm always gone, it seems like, on the weekends with the girls. And so I didn't get a chance to be there. But I'll tell you that I wish I could have, because I would like to say a couple of things to Mr. Helms. First and foremost, I think Brad said it very well. Henry said it very well. Steve's always, everybody knows something about Barry. I know Barry early on was really someone who I had to go to learn about the town. I came into this green. You kidding? I worked here and didn't know much about the workings or goings on. And Mr. Helms was patient enough to talk to me about it. And I can sometimes, I hate to say be impulsive, but I think that might be one thing that can be used to explain or define me. But I've been very appreciative. Mr. Stipes, not meaning to take from what you said, but things that I think about when I think about Mr. Helms, honestly, is, well, number one, honesty. Probably more than anything else. I know I can ask Mr. Helms something, I'm not going to get a yes answer. I'm going to get what he thinks, and I know that I'm going to get it based on his experience, and it's going to be coming from a genuine source. It's not going to be coming from I'm going to get a half-truth or something like that. If he tells me something, it's the gospel, period. Civility. Even when we on council sometimes want to maybe kick and scream in the floor a little bit. I don't think we've ever, not for 1 minute, not for 1 second, seen Mr. Helms act in any way other than a professional manner. Now, someone said role model. I couldn't agree more. Genuine, certainly. That goes without saying. I've always appreciated his. I'm very passionate with young people. I'm not going to go into that. But I know Mr. Helms has always been on board with child abuse prevention. He's always been on board with the little things we can do around town to enhance the demonstration of this town being on board with those types of projects, which are very near and dear to my heart. And I know to Mr. Helms as well, or he wouldn't be behind those things. All in all, I'm going to miss Barry Wiegand. We don't always have to agree on everything, and we probably haven't always agreed on everything. But I can always talk to Barry. It's not as if we disagree, we got to yell or shout. It's never been anything of that sort that I can think of. But all in all, if you don't know him, he is faithful. He's a good man, and that's not. I don't run into all my. I guess in my travels and my work, I mean, to find someone who has all those qualities and just frankly a good person means a lot to me. And so I'm going to miss Mr. Helms. I'm really looking forward to working with Mr. Biggs. But I just hope Mr. Helms knows that I have the utmost respect for him. And I am personally going to miss him because he is so approachable, so down to earth. You wouldn't know he's the town manager. He doesn't have to advertise that. He is what he is. What you see is what you get. So, Mr. Helms, I'm going to miss you. I'm sorry for missing on Saturday. If it wouldn't have been for the coaching every weekend that I'm gone, I would have been there. But I wish you all the best in your retirement. You've earned it, and you've earned my respect. And I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Mr. Bishop?
All right, ditto to what Mr. Hall has said, but once again, Ms. Ham, as I said, sir, you have helped me a great deal in this learning process. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Mr. Collins?
I got a little bit more work for you before I say anything about you. I had planned on talking about trying to do a survey or get some information on what it would take to turn the Christiansburg town into a city, just to see. But I understand that that's been asked for already prior to me coming on here. And there's supposed to be some kind of report coming back soon.
Yes, Mr. Tweedy's
Oh, okay.
been working on one.
Okay.
From the finance side.
Okay. Okay. And I'm not rushing, just when would that be, you think?
I guess we'll figure out whenever it's good.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
We don't have another meeting before I leave, so.
Can you do it by Thursday?
No.
She's trying to close the year out right now, get the new budget going. So.
Okay, and also I was wondering if you could ask the fire department, the first aid department, and the police department, if I could get the 911 calls for the last month, just so I can see what's on them. Well, I know what to request for next time.
They'll come out in different formats. So, what type of information you want? Call time when they arrived,
and who responded to it.
Okay.
Not who individually. What locality responded to it?
Oh, locality.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. And what locality was called and what locality responded. Okay, so finally about Mr. Helms. The same thing as Mr. Hall said, he's a great person. He truly is. I was agreeing when I came on here too, and he taught me a whole lot. He told me what I couldn't do right quickly. And he's just a first-class man. He really is, seriously, Everybody always says, if I had a brother, I'd want it to be you. But that's very true. If I had a brother, I want it to be you because you got a lot of money too. So anyway, you taught me a whole lot, and I appreciate you so very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You've been very misinformed.
Your wife taught me different, yeah.
I can only echo what everyone has said, but I personally want to thank you for allowing me to stay down in the mayor's office as much as I do. I spend a lot of time there. I try not to get in your way, but I have enjoyed working with you. I've learned a lot, and I appreciate you putting up with me. I sometimes can get the cart before the horse, but you calm me down, and I think I'm doing better now. I may revert to my old days when Steve takes over, but that, I won't, okay.
Well, let's stick with it.
That's very good. But it has been a privilege and an honor to work with you for the last, actually 16 of your 22 years on being with the town. So I knew Barry when he was the assistant to the assistant town manager, and probably some of the days when you were out working on the sewer lines. But you've done a little bit of everything. But it has been a great plan. You have served Christiansburg and our citizens well, very well. Mr. Hall had a closing rebuttal, is that correct?
No, not a rebuttal, but that's something I forgot, appreciation I forgot to pass along to Mr. Collins, to Mr. Helms, to Public Works, and to Mr. Stipes. Independence, it's striped from the Sleepy Hollow all the way to the main section. Residents had talked to me about that for quite a while, and the biggest fear we had is because a lot of high school students use that road, and it's a tendency as you crest that second hill to want to drift over. You don't realize it goes so severe, but they wanted me to express their appreciation to the town and to those members of the street committee of whom I had passed along, and you all looked at it. I know Harry had been out there as well to look at it. I really appreciate that, and the citizens are extremely thankful. Thank you all.
Most of them are.
All but one.
All but one.
All but one.
There's always one.
The town 4th of July celebration is on the 4th of July. It's a great day for it. 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock on Main Street. They've got 4 bands. I think the bands start around 10:30. It will go through 4 o'clock. We're going to have a farmer's market venue there. The children's games, very much as what we did last year. I think it's a very good format. And then the fireworks at 8. I think the gates to the football field open about 8:30, and it will be sometime 9-ish or thereafter before. But I hope you all will. I'll encourage council to bring the families and come out. I encourage all of you here to come out and view it. It's quite a spectacular thing, and I'm so glad we've got that part of it downtown. Mr. Helms, town manager's reports.
Let's have a couple things.
This is his last town manager's report, isn't it?
It is.
This is it.
Unless y'all schedule another.
Work session.
Yeah, that was 2 meetings ago. I said, I got 2 more council meetings, and then you scheduled another one. At my request, but last meeting, someone brought up that about Blacksburg covering some of our calls for rescue squad. Rescue squad, year to date, up through the end of May, our crew has provided 60 mutual aid calls to other localities and received about 20 to us. There are certain situations that automatically, critical situations, that if we don't have someone automatically are ready to leave within a few minutes, they call the other localities to come, cardiac arrest, things like that. And we've had several times where we had 4 to 5 calls at a time. So that's some of our mutual aid have been because of that. And also, like I said last meeting, it's hired a couple, 3 or 4 additional part-time people to help during the days. So, started to respond on that. One thing I left off the agenda, but was in the agenda packet, was the aquatic facility rental contract with the Colonial Athletic Association. And if the y'all's wishes, we'd like to sign that contract with them so they use the facility for the next 5 years.
You need a nod.
We need a motion.
I'll also move that we approve the contract as presented.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second, a couple of seconds.
It's exciting.
It is.
Very exciting.
Yeah, that's good.
5 years. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilman Hall?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
That would be 6-0, is that
Yes, sir.
correct? Thank you.
And one last thing.
You want to raise, right?
Yes.
Move that chair up 2 notches, brother.
Now, I want to thank each of you in council, all the department heads and employees for the support I've been given over the past 22 years. It's helped me fulfill a lifelong goal of being a town manager someday. When I worked here as an intern in the 70s, That's a long time ago. Some of you hadn't been born yet. But I thought there'd be a great job, and it came true. Many improvements for employees and citizens have been accomplished. Please remember that overall the citizens are happy with the way the town functions, and we realize that the employees provide a high-quality service. And just thank you for the opportunity, and it's been fun. I'm not going anywhere. It's still going to be my hometown since I was about 7 years old. I did go to Blacksburg first grade, so but been in Christiansburg ever since, except for while I was in the Army. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Now that first committee we get him on.
I'm actually going to ask Mr. Helms to stay on the 911 authority until at least till the end of the year. He was a founding member of it. No need in changing horses right now. Is there anything else to come before council? We are adjourned. Thank you.